April 14th meeting. All right, if you have a cell phone, please silence them. If you need to take a call, please step out. When we get to the part of citizen statements, please state your name and address and limit your comments to about 5 minutes. Roll call, please.
Davis,
Here.
Millet, Flum,
Here.
Metz,
Metz? Yep, here.
Franz,
Here.
Herman, Hudak.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. All right, any comments, questions, concerns about the March 10th meeting minutes?
Move to accept.
Second.
Davis,
Aye.
Flum,
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Franz,
Aye.
Hudak.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, and now citizen statements. Yes, please come to the mic.
I'll be there in a week.
All right. Take your time.
Oh, jeez. It's fun getting old, right, Kim?
Yeah.
Let me do this. Yeah. Jim, on this, brought some photos. You pass them here, and this will be for your side. Thank you.
Oops, sorry.
Okay.
She had to track me. She wanted to be here.
I think I know how to use a microphone, but it's been a while. My name is Jerry Burke. I live at 1733 North Point. I'm here about the trees on our terrace, the Kentucky coffee trees. We have a caffeinated one and a decaffeinated one on our terrace. And I appreciate, and so do our neighbors, appreciate the city's efforts at putting trees on the terrace. But those trees have become a pain in the you-know-what, especially each fall. And the big part was the last 2 years has become a problem well into winter, and yes, now this year even into spring. Well, our first small stems have become much larger stems, which have proven to plug our snow blower and our lawnmower, excuse me. I have a riding mower because I have problems getting around. The riding mower is fine, it'll chew it up, but it does a number on the blades. Last fall, with the photos that I sent you around, I have raked a total of 4 39-gallon bags full of these stems. They have really become a problem, and these stems are getting larger and larger each year. The rake is in the one photo, so there's a point of reference for you. Our rake is yay wide. I don't know if these things there's a lot of them fall in the streets too. And I don't know if it's causing a problem with the street sweepers. I have not stopped one of the sweeper guys when he goes by. He always waves at us. But I haven't stopped to ask him if it's plugging up their units too. Our yard is not an isolated case. Across the street, Bob's yard is the same way as ours. Those stems are a pain in the butt. Raking them, it can be raked, but why 4 bags in less than 6 months? I'm hoping this can be addressed and something can be done. The trees are not that old. I'm guessing 5, maybe 6 years at the most, maybe more. I don't know. I've lost track of time since I retired, and I love it. But I just bring this to your attention. I talked to somebody from the Parks Department. He says, yeah, we've heard other people call us too. He says, but nobody has come to this board and talked about it. So hi, I'm here. I don't know if you can do anything, but thank you for taking the time to at least listen to what I've got to say. I appreciate it. And my snow blower and lawnmower will be very appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
With that, I'm leaving town.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, that moves us into new business. Discuss and recommend the update to section 3442 in the municipal code regarding the fee in lieu of parkland dedication.
All right, I will kick off this discussion, give you a little background, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. John Cameron, the Senior Municipal Advisor with Ellers and Associates. And so just a little background that Section 30-442 of the Municipal Code talks about fees in lieu of parkland dedication, as well as the amount of land dedication based on the number of residential dwelling units in a subdivision. So when new subdivisions come into the city or being developed, we work with the developer. If there is parkland noted in that area of the city, we will work with them to try to get parkland dedicated as part of the ordinance. And if there's not, then we typically will work with them and collect a fee in lieu of land dedication. So in December of 2023, the city entered into an agreement with Ellers Public Finance Advisors to review and update the fee in lieu of land, parkland dedication, and the dedication of parkland requirements included in Chapter 30 of the Municipal Code. In addition, Ellers would be performing a feasibility analysis for a potential park impact fee. The review and analysis requires the Advisory Parks Board, Plan Commission, and Common Council. This actually came forward as a result of a number of requests from past council members as well as Plan Commission members to take a look at the requirements. Looking back, what we found was the last time these items were updated was in 2003. So we've been working with John on this project. There was some turnover within the planning division, so it got delayed a little bit, and then we picked it up and started to focus again on the parkland dedication requirements. The impact fee analysis we've put on hold at this point, and that will resume in the near future. Talk a little bit about, in our update of our corps, the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, and in that we do recognize that the city is short of park acreage based on the National Recreation and Park Association standards. Typically, the NRPA standard is 6.25 to 10.5 acres per thousand residents, and in our last update of our corp, which was completed last fall, City of Oshkosh is currently at about 4.55 acres per 1,000 residents. So as part of the review, Ellers surveyed a number of communities in the region and the state to compare the City of Oshkosh parkland dedication requirements and the fees in lieu of, and John will be going over that tonight. So we'll have some discussion on that and be able to answer any questions. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Appreciate being able to be with you this evening and walk through the update to the park fee in lieu of land dedication. So, as Ray had indicated, in Chapter 30-442, Section B and C contain language on the dedication requirement in terms of the number of square feet per single family or multifamily unit. Currently in the ordinance, you've got a dedication requirement of 1,100 square feet per detached single-family housing unit and 900 square feet per attached multifamily unit housing created by a subdivision plat or a certified survey map. The fees currently for single-family and multifamily are $400 per residential lot for single-family dwelling unit and $330 per multifamily unit for a fee in lieu of the land dedication requirement. So as part of updating this, what we looked at was the average value per acre of land within the city, and that data came from the city's assessment staff as of January 1st, 2024, and represents the average value per taxable acre within the city, and divided that by the number of residents per acre of active parkland. And the current number of residents came from U.S. Census Bureau information and Department of Administration population data, and the number of acres of active parkland came from your newly updated comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. So dividing the average value of land by residents per acre, we get a land cost per capita, so per person, of $266. We multiply that out by a factor of 3 for a single-family dwelling unit to get a proposed fee in lieu of land dedication of $798 for a single-family dwelling unit, and a fee of $665 per multifamily dwelling unit at a density of 2.5 people per unit. So these are fees that are imposed on new development. And as Ray indicated in the ordinance, the fee is generally payable at the time of final plat, and currently it's split between final plat and I think building permit or occupancy. So that's how the existing fee structure is handled currently. As Ray indicated, we did do a survey of some comparable municipalities and looked at, to the extent they have existing fees in lieu of land dedication, what the requirement is in terms of the dedication square footage. And in looking at that compared to the city's current requirement, what we do note is that the city's requirement amongst those municipalities that have that information readily available, the city is on the low end of current dedication requirements at that 1,100 square feet per dwelling unit for single family and 900 for multifamily. The recommendation was made to go to an even 2,000 square feet per dwelling unit, regardless of single family or multifamily dwelling units. So, the summary of the recommendations, we did provide a comparison analysis for recent land use development with the Pickert Estates development in terms of looking at the total acres of dedication that would be required with the development under the current and proposed change to the dedication requirement going from 1,100 or 900 square feet to even 2,000, regardless of single family or multifamily dwelling. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over and answer any questions.
John, just for your information, on the agenda, we did separate it into 2 items. The first one will be focusing on the fee in lieu of parkland dedication, so we'll focus there. No, that's okay. And then we can come back to the parkland dedication requirement. So I think we can address any questions or comments regarding the fee in lieu of parkland dedication. One thing that I did want to make note of is, as John mentioned, that the current zoning code, it refers to the collection of these fees or the requirement of land dedication when there's a land division or a certified survey map required. It's not on our agenda for this evening, but speaking with planning staff, when they take a look at the zoning code, which they're currently doing, and bring that forward for the Plan Commission and Council to consider, it's their intent to make it noted that any future city or any residential developments would comply with these requirements. So I just wanted to make the board aware of that as well. So we can focus on the fee aspect, and if there's any questions for John or myself, we can answer those.
Maybe I missed it. What year was, this dollar amount, when was this put into place? What year?
What we were able to find was back in 2003.
Okay. So quite a while.
Long
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Increasing the amount wouldn't make developers not want to.
Can you put your microphone down, Becky, just so that we can make sure everybody can hear you?
Increasing the fee would not make developers not want to work here. It's not that significant.
That, I guess, will be the question for developers when, I'm sure that they will be coming forward, but that is something that when past fees, whether here or other communities, that is something that's brought up, because we do want to make sure that we are, providing the spectrum of housing, as well as making sure that we can also provide park facilities for future generations, as well as the development of those. So there's a balancing act.
If I may, just a quick question. Seems that we're still going to be cheaper than the city of Appleton, depending on how you game it out. But for this, do we know where the city of Green Bay and the city of Milwaukee are?
We do not.
Okay, no worries.
The other thing to consider is, Ray, as Ray had indicated, you're still working on and potentially going to bring forward a park impact fee for park development. And that is also a fee that is imposed on new development at the issuance of a building permit. So these fees will kind of work in tandem with each other, but both will be imposed on new development.
So are we just
Looking for a motion to recommend?
Or if there's more questions, but yes, ultimately, this would need to go to the Plan Commission for consideration, and then to the Common Council for consideration as well.
I guess the only other question I would have is that when you look at the dedication requirement, so 2,000 square feet per dwelling unit.
Can we come back to that one, Jacob?
Yes.
This one is,
Yeah.
this action item is on the fees, but
Okay. this is
hold
just
your
the-
question.
Perfect.
So-
Okay.
I'd make a motion to move forward with the pricing.
I'm good with it.
I'll second.
Davis,
Aye.
Plum,
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Franz,
Aye.
Hudak,
Aye.
motion carried.
So now the next item on the agenda is discuss and recommend update to section 30-442 of the municipal code regarding parkland dedication requirements. And again, that was covered both when John and I discussed the items, but obviously we have questions and answers. So I know, Jacob, you had a question on this one.
And that would, and not to speak out of turn here, but my question is for this. So for any new development, when we're talking about potential infill developments, so in places of the city where it's already fairly dense, how do we become the arbiter of saying, all right, you need 2,000 square feet per dwelling unit? Say, I'll give an example. How would this apply to the development over at the former Washington school site? Would they just pay a fee instead of looking for parkland? Because, when we're building new subdivisions on the west side of town where we have more space, that land could potentially be found. I guess the only question I have here is that where there isn't enough land to build a park, so to speak. Yeah.
The easiest response to that is we take a look at our comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, and we have a map in there showing areas of the city that are deficient or not covered by neighborhood park or community park. And just to address your specific question on the Washington school development, that would be one where we don't have in our corp requesting additional parkland there, that they are serviced by, I believe Stevens Park might be close enough there as well. So on that one, then we would bring forward a request to accept the fees in lieu of. But as we take a look at some of the growth areas for the city, and take a look at our corp again, if there is a development that's going to occur and we identify in our corp that there should be a neighborhood park here because we need that for those future residents, then we'd be working with the developer on some potential parkland in that area.
Okay.
And sometimes it might work out where we do a combination as well, depending on certain circumstances on the development, so.
Sure.
And those, go ahead.
No, please.
And on those, we, when the development's coming forward, we will bring that recommendation to the Advisory Parks Board.
Okay.
And then it goes to the Plan Commission and Common Council after that as well.
Okay, that's good to know. I know you and I discussed this briefly the other day, just making sure that we have enough parkland, in newer developments in the city, making sure that they're covered where they are supposed to be, and then where we need more parkland, we're obviously, dedicating resources to that. For this, making sure that we have enough parkland for the future is something that I very much care about. It's a quality of life issue. It matters a lot. So I'm good with that. Thank you.
Sure. John, anything else you want to add on the dedication portion?
Any other questions, discussion? I'll make a motion to move it forward.
Second.
Davis.
Aye.
Plum.
Aye.
Metz.
Aye.
Franz.
Aye.
Hudak.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you,
Let's
John.
stick around.
Appreciate it.
All right, on to inclusion of pickleball courts for the 44th parallel court reconstruction project.
I will kick this off. So this is an item that I wanted to make sure and bring back to the Advisory Parks Board. If you recall, back when we were putting together the 2025 capital improvement plan for the department, we did include, and the council did fund reconstruction of the 44th parallel park tennis courts. And at that time, both at the Advisory Parks Board and the council, we talked about, we took a look at other tennis courts reconstruction, and when we brought that forward, we did include pickleball because of the demand and the popularity of the sport. And so as we started to take a look at the design specs for this project, and in light of some of the complaints that we've received recently, mainly from a neighbor up around the Tech Miller Park. If you haven't played pickleball, I'm sure you've heard about it, but it is louder than tennis. The equipment does make a little bit more noise, and for some of the neighbors up in that area, they have complained about that a little bit. So what we wanted to do was reach out to some of the neighbors around 44th Parallel. We actually had reached out, we hand-delivered, I believe, 60 to 60 homes surrounding the park, pretty much a survey, and letting them know about the project, letting them know that pickleball is a little bit noisier than just having a tennis court, and asking them if they had a preference to get back to us. Out of those 60, we only had 14 households respond to us. Out of that 14, we had 10 households preferring the addition of pickleball courts, 3 preferring to leave it as tennis courts only, and 1 stated that they're fine with either, but would like to see whatever's best for the community. We did have, and some of those respondents for the pickleball were directly across from the courts. There was one resident directly west that we've made a couple attempts to get some feedback and have been unsuccessful. So just to give you an idea, that was the input that we did receive from the neighbors. And if you recall, as part of the, when we do a tennis court reconstruction, like at 44th Parallel, we currently have 2 tennis courts. We do the reconstruction, we take it down to 1 tennis court, and by removing one of the tennis courts, we're able to get 2 pickleball courts there. So again, we feel that demand for the pickleball, as well as the number of requests that we continue to get, that we would suggest moving forward with, again, replacing one of the tennis courts with pickleball. Not looking for an action tonight, but looking for some input from this board if there's a strong preference either way. And I do know that we have one individual here that would like to speak to this as well.
Sure. I'm Bruce Abraham.
Come up to the
The mic,
Yep.
yep, yes, please.
name and address, please, Bruce.
Sure, can do that. I'm Bruce Abraham. Is it on?
Yep.
Okay. I'm Bruce Abraham, president of the Oshkosh Pickleball Club. Address is 1911 Amy Joe Drive, Oshkosh, town of Algoma. And We work closely with Ray in the city and also Adam Breest as far as county pickleball project courts. And we fully support what Ray has been doing, but we understand too that we have to be conscientious of the neighborhood. And I can tell you this, that since Tyke Miller and West Haven were done in the manner that we're considering 44th parallel, there's just been huge feedback from the pickleball community, how appreciative they are and how much they love these courts in these smaller neighborhoods. So we fully support what Ray's looking at and what the board is looking at with 44th parallel, and a little bit heartened by the feedback that you have gotten already from the 14 residents, where the multitude of them appears to be supportive. So we certainly support that. There are some things that we've talked about that can be done to help mitigate some of the sound, to suppress some of that. We've talked about that with Ray in meetings, so that's something that could be looked at also. If there are any questions of me or anything that you'd like to know more? I can tell you this too, that as far as outdoor courts, to the number of players, and it's increasing tremendously, there just isn't enough here nor throughout the entire nation. There are far many more players than there are courts. So anything we could get as far as additional courts certainly would be appreciative and certainly used.
Got a quick question. Have you seen as demand has increased over time?
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm sure the answer to this is yes, but I just want to confirm with you, pickleball tournaments that are popping up at some of these smaller parks, or is that mainly at the county park or at Menominee?
There are no tournaments that have ever been held in outdoor courts that I'm aware of, nothing formal.
Sure.
We just don't have a large enough complex here. The Winnebago County Community Park, that complex, which is looking at 8 courts, that would be the first opportunity to really run a tournament out there. Plus, with that location out there would be more feasible because it's away from residential areas. I wouldn't suggest running tournaments in any of these residential parks at all.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
So,
Well, I appreciate you coming here, and
mhm.
seems like people want the pickleball courts. So.
Oh, obviously, and one thing we keep pleading with Ray, because a lot of times when the pickleball players are there and we run in wide range and there's younger people coming into the sport all the time, we actually would like more, and there's pickleball players that actually come to us, the board, and say, you know, why aren't we getting more courts, at least double lining tennis courts? And that's an option down the road, but at this point that hasn't been done. So, anything else?
Thank you, Bruce.
Yep, thank you.
I support having pickleball courts at the park.
I was gonna say, I don't foresee it dwindling in people looking to play, so I would be for it.
It's only going to get more popular, and if we're not proactive with this, we could stand to lose out to other communities who do have more pickleball courts. So I'm in favor of it.
And he answered the question I was going to have for him as far as demand, that I assumed that right now that demand is outstripping supply, so we're behind, so I can't see us having less. We need to do more. This isn't even enough, probably.
Well, and just to let you know, we do, we have a tennis court project going on at Stevens Park. There's only one tennis court there. And we had talked potentially about doing some lining for pickleball, but I did have a discussion with the neighborhood association because that park and the tennis courts are right next to a number of properties that I said I just can't support putting pickleball there until if the neighborhood really wanted it and they got consent from all the adjoining neighbors and came and told us that we would consider it. But that one is just really close to way too many neighbors there, and there's only the one court. So, and you know, just giving thought to the other neighborhood parks that we've placed pickleball in, West Haven Circle Park, probably 3 years ago, I believe we redid those courts. I'm not aware of any complaints that our department has received as far as the noise goes. But we definitely have up at Tech Miller from one or two of the neighbors primarily. But again, I think it's more heavily used than what people are complaining to us about. So So I just wanted to, again, make sure that we're going in the direction that we talked about at the capital improvement plan time, and allowed anybody from the community, if they were here, to come and speak as well. So we'll continue down that path. Thank you.
Right. On to discuss and recommend approval of the concession stand agreement for Red Arrow Complex between the City of Oshkosh and Youth Baseball.
All right, so the last number of years, we had a concessions agreement with the YMCA, and we were recently made aware that the YMCA is not interested in continuing on with those operations. We were contacted by the Oshkosh Youth Baseball Group, and they do have an interest. And so they have been working actually with the YMCA. There's some equipment in there and so forth that the YMCA owns that they're working on an agreement with the OYB group. So the agreement that we have in front of you is essentially the same agreement we've had in the past with the YMCA, just the change of who will be operating it. So we're recommending to go ahead with the OYB lease. We're doing a one-year lease to make sure it works out for them as well as us. And then if they'd like to continue in the future, we could look at maybe extending that more than 1 year. So this would take a recommendation from this board, and the common council would then approve that.
The only question I was gonna ask was how long was the lease, so I think
We're recommending 1 year
Yeah.
at this point.
that's,
Motion to approve.
that's second.
Davis,
Aye.
Plum,
Aye.
Metz,
Aye.
Franz,
Aye.
Weirich,
Aye.
motion carried.
On to the presentation for annual revenue facility report by Jen.
Alright, so, the first one is kind of all of our facilities, so, I'm sorry, just gonna get my. Okay. So just kind of going over the year in review of 2024. So the first blocks you see there are for special events at all the different facilities. So you'll see it was a pretty good year for all of our events, and the zoo especially has really grown, and we keep on trying to do a lot more programming in the zoo as far as educational programming, just some different things that people want to see. So it's been really great, and people really love what we're doing down there. So when Chad gets us the reports, we have some maintenance stuff that we're working on too this year to just really make it a better flow for everyone there. So all those events are the Powell Community Water Park. We host 6 of those special events each summer. Winnebago Community Credit Union is the sponsor of those events over there. The Leach Amphitheater, last summer we had 3 concerts, and then 3 movie nights, our Touch a Truck event, and then, what am I forgetting? 3 movie nights, 3 movie nights, Tuesday nights, Touch a Truck, and June Dairy Day, sorry. So events have been, starting to pick up more down there, and just continuing with our marketing to let people know what we do down there. South Park, we moved those last year to South Park because of the maintenance in Menominee Park. So we had 3 children's events down there. We will be moving those back to Menominee Park this year, to the train station, with everything back up and running over there. Zoo special events, of course, our big one is always Zooloween Boo, which last year we had just over 4,000 people for that event. It was crazy. So, but we have our snooze at the zoo as well, and then all of our programming that we do daily. And then Brews on the Bay, last year we had moved that one to Rainbow Park because of the construction in Menominee Park, and this year we're doing half and half. So in June, the first one will be in Menominee, and the second one will be at Rainbow, and same in July, August, and September. So we met a lot of new people last year down at Rainbow who really did like that location, and then of course there's people who love Menominee Park as well. So since we put the infrastructure work into Rainbow Park, we decided to do them at both locations so that it kind of meets the needs of different sides of the town. So that's what we'll be doing this year for that. So total visitors at the different facilities, Again, the water park was just a little bit down last year, and the zoo continues to increase, which is awesome. And that was through December, so this is the first time that we have had the zoo open in the off season, just from 10 to 2 daily. So that's been really nice too. On the kind of warmer winter days, we'll get 30, 40 people down there walking around. So it's nice that they can see some of the animals in the winter coats and things like that. So so that's visitors. Volunteers, we rely heavily on volunteers, and you'll see we're kind of down in 2024 in all of the areas, which makes it tough. It makes it tough when the events are super busy. We are so thankful for all the volunteers we do have, because we certainly could not do it without them. But we continue to just reach out to different groups, make different connections of people. So if you guys ever know of anybody, we do have groups that do contact us that we share the events with, but we're always looking for events, and we kind of are always running short on on volunteers. So, but yeah, we couldn't do it without the volunteers we have. So we are super thankful for those people. And then donations, you'll see Pollock went way up. That was some dollars from the community foundation that we pulled out for projects in the water park. But otherwise, a lot of them are pretty close to them for the events. And then sponsorships, you'll see we went quite down a bit at the Leech. We lost our main sponsor there at the Leech, kind of in a short notice in 2024. So we've been working to find a sponsor for those Tuesday night concerts. That's something that's been kind of tough to find, but we continue to work on that. And again, sponsorships at the zoo is up and pretty stable at Pollock, and so. Any questions about those facilities?
No, but next time, can you use different colors? Because these are Bears colors.
We will pass that on to our new market analyst.
Jenny, quick question. In regards to volunteers, is it just the drop off of people are, retiring, they don't have as much time anymore, they're moving away? What's the average age of our volunteer base for these kinds of events?
So to be honest, it's the daytime events we have a hard time getting people for, like the daytime, I'd say children's events.
Sure.
We have a really great volunteer base that work at our Brews on the Bay and our Tuesday night concerts, which is a group of retired folks. They just absolutely love it. They love coming down and serving, and they all know each other now, and it's great. So we have a really great group of volunteers that do those nighttime events. It's more the daytime events, I'd say, with the kids, and a lot of the people who are a little bit older, those daytime events they're pretty crazy. So it's people that can kind of run around and do games and do different things. So that's kind of the group that we're missing. We never have a lot of interest of people who want to volunteer at Pollock. We struggle with our events over there, which it definitely helps having the volunteers, because then we don't have to have as much staffing. So
Do you ever reach out to like Evergreen? And because Evergreen's right by Pollock.
I'd have to check with Kathy. So Kathy does our volunteers for our events. So we have a lot of great groups, but I know there's always more that we're not hitting. And as soon as we get our new marketing coordinator too, hopefully, they might have some different ideas how to market some new ways to volunteers as well. So we definitely rely on them heavily, and we have a lot. We have a ton of volunteers. Which is really great, but just never quite enough.
I think one thing too, just to add to this, the volunteer base is very supportive in our department across the board for a lot of our other items too, and they might just be redirecting other services that they help us with. So that's a big part too.
There's lots of opportunities out. So these here show just for events, but we've had more and more groups that have reached out that want to volunteer as a company, and so they've been doing a lot of projects in the parks. They've been coming in and doing cleanup in the zoo or at different parks, so this is event based, but we do have a lot of those groups too that just come down and do park stuff. So, and that's increasing, I would say, the number of contacts that we're kind of getting new that want to do stuff. So
That's very good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that stuff? Okay. Then this one just kind of breaks down, you know, the zoo events more here. So you'll see a little bit decrease in Breakfast with the Bunny and Bunny in the Barn, which was definitely made up this year, which we'll get to later. But we had to have that event on Easter weekend last year. That was we do now partner with Winnebago County. We have it out there at Sunnyview Expo Center because none of our facilities we can't host that many people. So that was the only Saturday we could get last year in 2024, and the numbers were definitely down. And actually during that event, the Downtown Rotary is the one who does all of our pancake flipping for the breakfast, and they said to me this year, don't ever have it on Easter weekend again because we couldn't come. And I was like, yeah, that wasn't our pick, but that's what we got. So so you'll see that was down a little bit in 2024. And then Brews in the Zoo increased, and Zuluween Boo really increased. And then our snooze, you know, it usually stays between like about 75 and a little over 100, so it's pretty stable there. So, and you still didn't come yet, did you?
I know, no, I want to do it so bad.
In which the snooze is capped at basically 100.
Yeah,
So
yep.
based on space, that won't see a big fluctuation.
Yeah. And so you'll see there with the volunteer hours, you know, it equates, like in 2024, to $16,700 it equated to. So that's just huge. That's staffing that we're saving, having all those people come down and help us out at events. Sponsorship dollars were up a bit in 2024. Donations down just a little bit. And then our zoo coin is the feed machines down there that we collect. And then the total support was up by about $2,000. So the zoo has definitely been very busy in a place that we're really kind of doing lots more education-based programming down there. So
That donation amount does include the $65,000 from the Herrenberg family.
Yeah.
To keep the zoo free and open, so.
That's awesome.
In terms of, for educational programming,
Mhm.
do we partner with any sort of zoology programs with local universities?
So, we partner with a lot of different groups, really. So Kate is our zoo education coordinator. She does a fabulous job. She's a retired school teacher of 30 years.
Good.
So she has a good connection with the school district from the past, that we partner kind of with the school district on some things we do. We also partner with the library. They come down and do some of the reading programs we do on Fridays and things. We did have a university group last year that they wanted to kind of get the word out on how to sample things out of the lagoon. So they came down there for about a week, and they had microscopes set up that kids could go in the lagoon and, you know, catch stuff and look at it under the microscope. And then we do a lot of our Wildlife Wednesdays. Those is when we bring in groups to us. So like the new zoo, their Zoomobile comes in. We bring in rescue groups for like snake rescue groups. So we have all different kinds of connections, which Kate continues every year to build.
That's great.
Yeah. Any other questions on that stuff? All right.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
I'm impressed, thank you.
It's fun.
I've heard great feedback about the bears too.
Oh,
Mr.
there.
Reeves.
If you guys follow, if you follow our Oshkosh Parks page, there's some really cool videos on there. He loves attention, and he will take all the attention he can get. So he'll be doing something by himself, and as soon as he sees people come up to the window, he like drops whatever he's doing and runs right up to the window.
yeah.
You know,
Really?
He's got to be the center of attention. So there's some fun videos out there that we've been
Very cool.
posting of him. So
Yeah, I've heard great feedback.
yeah, he's a fun guy.
Nice. All right, on to staff reports.
I'm going to keep mine brief. If you haven't heard, we are going to be moving our July 4th Festival Foods Fireworks Show. Historically, it's been, the launch site has been at Monkey Island at Menominee Park. Our fireworks vendor of almost 20 years, the technician retired, and the company has decided that they won't be servicing this portion of Wisconsin any longer. So we needed to try to find a new fireworks vendor for the first time in about 20 years. And to try to find a fireworks firm that can take on a July 4th show was very challenging. We actually sent out a request for proposals, and we only had one individual firm that said that they would be able to help us out on July 4th. But part of that was that they would not be able to commit the manpower, the staffing to have the show out on Monkey Island. A lot of that deals with us having to come up with a barge that a local business has donated in the years past. And sometimes it took 2 to 3 days for the fireworks show to get set up out on the island, so it was time consuming for the firm, but also for our staff to keep the vegetation trimmed out on the island so that we didn't have any incidents. So in speaking with the new firm, and we actually had talked about this with the previous firm, that maybe we need to look at a new site so that we can cut back on the amount of time needed by that company. And so Ames Point, with the work that Chad and his team did a couple of years ago as far as the new path paving that goes out there, the gentleman from the new firm actually came forward and said Ames Point would be the best for him. He can get there the morning of to set up, and that they could take on a July 4th show, even though they have a number of shows across the state. Actually, it's the same company that Festival Foods coordinates with across the state at a number of their shows, so it works out very well. So what we did was took it to the Common Council last month, I believe, just letting everybody know, and the Common Council did approve the new location. So you can see up on the screen, just to give you an idea. So that's Ames Point going out. The red circle shows roughly where the fireworks will be launched from. And then we have to have a safety zone based on the requirements for the fireworks show. So those blue dots essentially are going to be buoys that will be placed to keep boaters from coming into the safety area. We met a number of times with the public safety officials, and they actually preferred this site compared to with the Monkey Island. So just letting this board know and letting the public know again that July 4th, the fireworks will be further to the north in Menominee Park. And we expect that we'll have really good viewing on the north end. Part of that too, Jenny has already 21 food trucks that are committed for that day, so there'll be food trucks scattered throughout the park for the entire day. We're going to be closing off on the map. You can see Oaks Trail, which is basically that horseshoe road on the north end. We're going to barricade that off in the morning, so it'll all just be pedestrians up there along with food trucks. So, and we'll have portable restrooms scattered throughout the park as well. So that is my big announcement.
That's big. All right, on to Chad.
Yeah, just a few things going on. I think to reiterate some of the things taking place down at the zoo. And as you know, over the past few years, or a couple of years, that we've been redoing the paths around the entire interior to make them more accessible and user-friendly. And we're finishing up our last segment, which is actually probably the most challenging one at our zoo entrance in going through. The thing that's been nice, we're working on that right now. But we've been able to keep the zoo open through another entrance point for the people to come through and visit us, still weekdays from 10 to 2. We have been seeing attendance come down. We've actually been seeing more user groups and school groups starting to attend more now too, as the spring gets a little bit further along. So that'll take place. Our goal is to have everything up and running 100% and have the entrance back in by May 24th when we open for the season on there. Second thing is, and I think in order to improve some of the services that we have at the zoo and the amenities there, we have a wonderful volunteer that redid the lion drinking fountain last year that came forward, and Sarah is working with us this year. So we did some improvements inside the Lake Fly Cafe to have a mural put in and a little bit more addition in regards to a book corner and some other services for some of our plush areas to make it more inviting for families and participants to utilize that. And I think also with the redoing of our entrance makes the Lake Fly a lot more inviting to come into as we remove some of the barrier fences up front. So looking forward to seeing some of those improvements and how people utilize the front entrance going forward. Two roofing projects that are taking place right now. One will be taking place next week in regards to the Kiwanis Shelter, number 1 at Menominee Park. They'll be replacing the roof, so you'll see some activity around there. And then also down at our, I want to confuse you with the park maintenance building, our new facility, but we do have a maintenance facility at Menominee Park, which we reference as our block building near the boat launch, that a section of that roof was replaced here, and there's still some trim work to do on that. So that's just a few projects that are in the works right now. Thought it'd be nice to update you on.
Thank you. All right, Travis?
Excellent. So Last year, October, as I applied for and then received a Wisconsin DNR grant to develop a strategic and a management plan for urban forestry plan for the city of Oshkosh. The strategic plan is more of our long-term tenure plan where it's going to lay out and map some goals and some just kind of map how we're going to get there with some strategies for us to use in order to accomplish those goals. The management plan is more of a 3 to 5 year best management plan practices, daily operations type plan to make sure that we're doing well there. The spring tree planting has been moved to fall because of the plan, so there will be no spring tree planting project this year, except for memorial trees. We are still doing our memorial spring planting. And then for the gateway signs, there are the 4 gateway signs that are existing that we went through and recently redid or updated the bases to those. It used to be an old fake rock type covering to it. They are now just a smooth blue that matches the rest of the base. It just fits in a little bit better, and that was with the help of the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation and Discover Oshkosh. So they also helped with the installation of the 5th sign that due to complications with the location when the other 4 were originally installed in 2016. We have recently found a different location, same area, a city-owned parcel in the northwest corner at the corner of Jackson Street and Murdoch Ave. So if you've driven past there, that's what the white pole sticking out of the ground in the middle of the lot is. So, Arbor Day this year is April 25th. The city will be holding one event and participating in another event. The first one that we are holding is at Menominee Elementary School, where we're going to be planting a couple of trees over at Menominee Park, just across from the school, visiting with the students and receiving our Tree City USA award status flag. The second will be in the afternoon at 2 o'clock with the Oshkosh North Communities class. They will be holding in Aiken Acres or Oshkosh North Conservancy. And there again, we'll be doing a tree planting demonstration and meeting with some of the high school students there. And lastly, recently there was a citizen that donated to have Gustav Banke paintings, which are 2 beautiful paintings that are in the Riverside Cemetery Chapel, to get restored and rehung, cleaned. So recently that just got done and came back, and it's beautiful. I don't know if they sent them. That one. So, So Gustav Banke was a painter and artist that was also an Oshkosh resident in the early 1900s. So he painted, there's another one.
And where are these located?
They're in the chapel at Riverside Cemetery, which you can go and see. Donna would love to give you a tour and show you the chapel between 8 and 1 o'clock. But so that one, the resurrection, As you can see, they're rather large paintings. That was donated to the city in 1942. The other one that's in there was donated in 1930. So they're rather old, beautiful paintings. What's also neat is that one is on canvas, and the other one is actually on like a gypsum board. So
I've seen these in person. I've been able to go to the chapel and take a look at them, and if you haven't seen them, they are impressive, very impressive.
Maybe what we can do, we try to do a park board tour during the summer, and maybe we can, if June isn't too heavy on the agenda, maybe we can do a tour and get you in the cemetery chapel.
So this is open to the public though, from 8
Absolutely.
to 1 every day? Monday through Friday? Or
Monday through Friday.
All right. Well,
That's all I
thank
got,
you.
if nobody's got
That's-
any questions.
That's great. All right, Jenny, you're up again.
All right. So just the last weekend, we hosted our breakfast with the bunny and a bunny event out, the egg hunt. So this year, having it, on a weekend outside of Easter, we served 955 people breakfast. So it was a bit crazy, which is good. We had all kinds of things. We had a face painter out there. We had balloons out there. Festival Food always donates cookies for the kids to frost cookies out there. And this year we partnered with IHOP, actually. I had reached out to them for a donation of pancake mix, and he had called me back the next day. He's like, hey, I have a better idea. Why don't we, why don't I come down and help make it? And they have a special way that they, have to stir it, let it sit, stir it. So IHOP partnered with us and provided all the pancakes for the breakfast, and they were out there helping grill. So that was a fun connection and new for this year. And then for the egg hunt, we had 704 kiddos that did that as well. So very busy day out there. It was nice enough that day. It was a little chilly, but definitely a nice enough day to bring a lot of people out and raise some money for the zoo. So that went really well. And again, that day we had a ton of volunteers, which were amazing. We had a couple kiddos that showed up that didn't realize that they didn't register, so we actually had a couple extra, which was great. So big events like that, it's just so important that we have enough people there to serve and to help make them, help clean up and do the games outside. So it was a great day. We had phenomenal volunteers that really enjoyed being there, so it was really nice. And then as far as opening day goes, as Chad mentioned, May 24th, we open all of our facilities. So the zoo will open that day for our regular hours, which is 9 to 6 daily. Our Lake Fly Cafe will open that day, which is our gift shop there in front of the zoo. That is open from 10 to 7 on the week, or 10 to 6 on the weekends, and 11 to 6 during the week. And then we'll also be opening our amusement center. So the Children's Amusement Center will open that day as well. And that facility is open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 to 7 p.m. So hopefully the weather will warm up and stay warm, and that'll be kind of opening weekend, a kickoff to all of our facilities. So
Awesome.
very fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other comments, questions? All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.